And so the sort of the parts of the brain that would fire and come on as the baby lesbian girl begins to imagine herself, and she experiences this heteronormative gaze that feels different than the gay gaze. It feels different. It's got a kind of more concreteness to it, a more concreteness, because that's how that archetype tends to, that's an aspect of that archetype, is this sort of concreteness in the literal world. And so it feels concrete. And if you're a gay baby or a lesbian baby, that feels weird. It's like what the mirroring needs to be this sort of trippy, imaginal, tripped out kind of experience. And that's how it feels in the body, which is different than this sort of, kind of concreteness, which is fascinating to, people who are really in the grip of the heteronormative view. So this feels in the body deadening. It's like an assault on the body of the baby. It's this annihilation, and the baby kind of has nowhere to go with the imaginal life that is at the core of her eros, that's driven by this beginning nascent lesbian eros that's trying to come online. It's just not happening. And this continues then into gender embodiment, where she's trying to feel her own gender embodiment. She looks at the mother, and the mother is in her body in a different way. She's in her body in a heterosexual way. There's a different feeling that, again, there's maybe a concreteness to it, maybe a disembodiedness to it. And the girl can't kind of locate herself in the mother as a mirror. And so the lesbian eros gets banished. But not completely, because it's impossible. And so we have this situation where there's this so these are some of so I'm suggesting that heteronormativity in and of itself, and the mother's gaze that fails to take into account her own double, basically, and isn't in some kind of exciting, stimulating relationship with her own double, has a traumatic effect, a traumatizing effect on the baby, on the little lesbian girl, and on her psyche, and on her sense of feeling that her own existence is right in the world and possible and something beautiful and wonderful to be treasured. And then, and that's like kind of the best case scenario, and it could go downhill from there depending on the quality of the mothering. If you have super narcissistic mothering, and the mother demands, not only does this, but I would say in this heteronormative, it's a form of narcissism, because the mother's demanding mirroring around her way of being in the world. And it can get even more and more and more virulent than just what I'm describing.
Sandra?
Yeah.
When you were talking about the curiosity, the loving curiosity of the mother being able to look at the child and say, who are you? Who are you? With that wonderful loving curiosity. And the minute that you said that, and as you're going through these pieces of things, it's like all I'm hearing in my head is the who are you as an accusation. But the question is this, the question still comes out. The question is the same. I think that's what mothers do with their children in some way. There's that who are you question, and that for the lesbian baby, that it's an accusation. There's an accusation in it. Who are you? And it's profoundly ungrounding, not only to not have the mirroring with the mother, but to not have any anchoring. The person that you would be getting some sense of self from is going, I don't even know who the fuck you are. I have no idea what we're dealing with here. And that you're just completely untethered intrapsychically with that.
what's coming to my mind is that is the movie Alien, the series of movies Aliens, if you're familiar with it. That it's like in the last movie, the heroine Sigourney Weaver Ripley. She has, there's another woman who, and you can read it as a lesbian love story, and Sigourney is now has alien blood inside of her, and so she's not human. She's like half alien, half human, and her lover is a robot. And I think that's a perfect kind of metaphor. That's a perfect metaphor for what you're describing here, like the sense, the felt sense of alienness, alien to the mother. Yeah. All right. So, all right. And maybe I'll just say a little bit about the. I don't know if I can say a little bit. I want to say something about my experience with. Barbed wire baby. I don't know if I should talk about her here or not, but
Sure.
yeah.
Sounds good.
So we'll see where this takes us. But after in the last month, the physical symptoms of my cancer, as I see myself with diapers on, and it's hideous and disgusting and repulsive. And I remember that when I was 5 years old, I had a best friend, and it was her birthday, and her father said we're all going to play a game, and he was very well aware of of our closeness, and he had some intuition, I'm imagining. Anyway, he called me in and he said, we're going to play a game called Barnyard Chorus, and everyone's going to be a different animal, and we're all going to get in a line, and when I count to 3, you're going to be as loud as you can. You're going to be a donkey, and you're going to yell out hee-haw. And I'm like, cool, okay, I'm down with it. I'm my little, butch self. And so we all line up, and all the parents are there, and he says 1, 2, 3, and I'm the only one. Everybody else is silent. And I scream out at the top of my lungs, hee-haw! And huge laughter from the audience. And I felt that this was, I felt incredibly shamed, like horrified shamed. What? Gee, really? Shamed. And I started to work with my donkey girl. Because on the one hand, it was horribly shaming, but if I had had good parenting, if I had good mothering, it would have been like, yeah, here I am. What's wrong with all of you people? How come you're not speaking? What's wrong? Okay. But that wasn't what happened, because that it just was a reenactment, basically, of what Flint is describing, like, who the fuck are you? You're an alien, you're a monster. I started working with my donkey girl, and I ordered online a little action figure donkey from Shrek. And many of you know the movie Shrek. Anyway, the donkey, and he's adorable, and he's madly in love with Shrek. And he never gives up. It doesn't matter how Shrek treats him. He's like, he knows they're meant to be together. And that's all there is to it. And he's adorable. And so at the same time, I ordered this what looked like a really cool female Jedi figure. But of course, my eyesight's not so hot these days. And when the donkey showed up, it was like, cool, cool. And then the next thing I see is like this horrifying, hate-filled female figure. Some kind of, Star Wars figure with her lightsabers behind her, and she's like twisted out like this, and she's like that, and she's got hate in her eyes. I'm like, oh my God, it's my mother complex! And the phone rings at that moment. It's my mother. I'm like, okay. got some support from friends not to do that. And what I realized, what's been going, I just looked at her, she was like in so much pain. This woman, this figure, was like, her hate had twisted her body into like, she was in so much physical pain. And I'm in a lot of physical pain. And I looked at her, and it was an incredible mirror for how I feel in my body, one aspect of it. And I realized that I got so much hatred for my mother that I developed this hatred body, this hatred baby body, that feels like I'm wrapped in barbed wire. And the story of this figure is that her parents were killed, and then she went to live with a Jedi Knight who was a man who was cultivating her skills and powers. And then he died, he was killed. And then she clawed her way to the top and ended up being like a apprentice to the dark side, Count Dooku, and apprentice to the dark side, and now she's filled with hate and bent on destroying everything good that there is in the world. And I felt like, oh, that's my barbed wire hate baby. That my capacity to receive any kind of goodness, especially from a woman, any kind of love or tender care or anything like that, this hate baby is, she's in so much pain that she just wants to kill it off, murder anybody who's trying to come at her like that. And so I've been working in active imagination to like let her attack the mother who did that to her. Like, I want you, because I feel this in my body now, this barbed wire, like I never felt before. I was numb, dead from here down. And now like this baby is like, I want this mommy who hated me to feel what I feel. I want her to feel it. And so what does this have to do with lesbian eros? Oh, okay. So we were talking about how the Anakin, these stories, these redemption stories, they're always all about men, and they have always a gay overtone. It's like, the Jedi Knights all together, or the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Rings, all these redemption stories.
Buffy.
I don't know Buffy. But this is about a girl who went, she just wanted to be a lesbian, because let's face it, Jedi is, if you're a woman and you want to be a Jedi, if you're a little girl and you want to be a Jedi, you're a lesbian. And she just wanted to be a lesbian, which means she wanted to be surrounded by the love of women. And all she ever got was, even the men, even the nice ones were men. And now she's been left. Nobody knows her, nobody cares about her, nobody knows anything about her. Anakin has a redemption story, but she's hung out there, just like hating and trying to kill good. And resonated with me, felt like I'm losing my ability to talk here. Partly because I feel like, have I gone off the subject?
Well, it seems like what you're trying to articulate, Sandra, is that almost the cultural discrepancy between all these male redemption stories, and that when it comes to a female eros, there's no redemption. That's the way the culture approaches lesbian eros.
Yeah, right.